Nittany Lion Roar with Extreme Panda here, and this is episode 13 of the Beginner's Guide to Empires and Puzzles. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about alliance etiquette. So I've already talked about how to join an alliance, why you want to join an alliance, and now I'm going to talk about what you do when you're there. First and foremost, you want to follow your alliance's rules. So if they didn't make it clear to you when you joined, ask the leaders if there's any rules, because sometimes there are some things about like how many Titan hits you need to make. There are other participation rules, like, for example, how many war flags to use. There's rules about flasks and things like that. There's even some performance rules depending on the alliance that you're in. Maybe like a Titan score you're supposed to, like a minimum you're supposed to hit. So ask about that. Make sure you follow those rules. One way to get yourself kicked is to be breaking the rules that the alliance has. But there are some standards that most alliances have, so I'm going to try and hit on those today. First of all, try to make at least 6 hits on a Titan. That's one way to stay in good standing with your alliance. If you're participating in the Titan, every Titan that you possibly can, and you're making at least about 6 hits on the Titan, then you're going to get a good Titan score. Your alliance is going to take down more Titans, you're all going to get better loot, and people are going to like you better. Also, use all your war flags. Now, I understand as a newer player, you might not have 30 heroes yet, which is what you really need to be able to use all of your war flags. But you can use those little 1 and 2 star heroes out of your training camp in war. So if you're short on heroes, just grab a couple of those heroes, go in, use all your flags. Even if you only get 1 or 2 points out of it, every point matters. We've certainly fought wars where we've won by like 1 point. So make sure to use all your war flags. Nothing will infuriate, goodness, I can't talk. Nothing will infuriate your teammates and leaders more than leaving war flags on the board and then losing by a couple of points. On that note, if you are going to have any participation issues, you want to reach out to your leaders. I've said in a previous video that most alliances will use another app like Line or Discord. So if you think you're going to be really busy at work this week, or like you're going to be on an airplane or on vacation or something like that, just reach out to your leadership and say, hey, I'm going to have some participation issues this week. Most will understand. It's when you don't reach out to the leaders about attendance issues and they just notice that you stop hitting that they're more likely to kick you. All right. Another one that's really important to me is to respect people. And respect diversity in particular. In this game, there are people from all over the world, from different cultures. There's different ways of being polite, and you just need to be really respectful. You can't go wrong if you're respecting people. One way to really cause problems and drama in your alliance is if you're going in using racial slurs or being insensitive and things like that. Not only will it make people mad at you and make it more likely that you're going to get kicked, but the environment in the alliance just isn't going to be very good, and nobody wants to be part of an alliance like that. So make sure that you're respecting everybody. And the old saying goes, if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all. It's okay to stay quiet if you just don't have nice things to say about people. All right. Another tip for etiquette when you're in an alliance is, when in doubt, ask questions. So I think, if you're in the alliance and you're not sure if your Titan team is set up right, or you have questions about your raid defense, make sure to ask in the chat. Ask what other people think. They'll give lots of good advice. If you're not sure if there's any like war strategy, ask about it. Just ask lots of good questions. You're gonna find that there's a lot of helpful people out there who want to answer those questions for you. Don't be shy. There's no reason to not play the game as well as you would like just because you're afraid of asking questions. Another one is that if you disagree with something in the alliance, reach out to leadership privately. So this might be disagreement you have with another member, or maybe you disagree with a rule in the alliance, you think it's too restrictive, or maybe you thought a leader didn't handle something right. It's okay to talk about that with the leadership, but you want to do it in private and not call them out in the general chat for everyone to see. It's just not going to cause a good environment. Let's say you had a problem with another player, like they weren't using their war flags, and you got in a little bit like, hey, remember to use your war flags, and then they weren't very nice back to you, and it just led to a little squabble. Just reach out to leadership and say, hey, I tried to remind them to use their war flags. It didn't go very well. I don't know what you can do, but I wanted to let you know. You want to do that in private, not call them out in the chat. And lastly, it's very likely as you're playing this game that you're going to leave your alliance that you joined. And if you're going to leave an alliance, you want to reach out to the people in the alliance about a week beforehand to let them know. You want to give the leadership about a week to possibly recruit another player, or just prepare for that transition. So just give them a heads up. Say, hey, I plan to leave in a week. I'll be with you for 2 more wars, and then I'm moving on. And that's okay. Reasons you might want to move on are because, as a newer player right now, you might outgrow your alliance. Maybe you become better than everybody else and want to go to a stronger one. Or maybe the alliance is just kind of dead. Like you ask questions and nobody answers them, or maybe it's starting to fall apart. People aren't participating and things like that. And of course you would want to move on. So, feel free to move on, but just let people know before you do. All right, well, these were just a few tips, but I'm sure there's a lot more to alliance etiquette. Feel free to post them in the comments if I missed any, or if you think there's any that are important that other people should know. All right, thank you.